The front door is open. Now, if it did a ghost event, that front door will shut and you'll hear the door lock. Right like that. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? The Bearded Baron here, bringing you guys another Phasmophobia video. In today's video, chat has requested what it would be like if you just installed the game and you had absolutely no idea how to play it, what any of the equipment did, what you're looking for, anything like that. So what I'm doing here is like the ultimate beginner guide for somebody who is brand new to Phasmophobia. I hope that you guys find this video informative. If you do, please like it, share it with a friend, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first things first, right? We're going to load into the game. You load into this lobby here, right? All of this stuff, you got display cases for when you find cursed objects. These are challenges, things like that. You don't need to worry about it. You got some recreational stuff up here. This is kind of showcasing maybe future items that are coming to Phasmophobia, so you can take a look at that as well. But the nuts and bolts of everything is going to be these three different screens right here. So you can walk up to each one of them if you want to. And you can go to each one, or you can cycle back through them using the little arrows here on either side, right? But essentially, what we are doing is you want to pick a map. You don't care which map you go to. You can pick on random. Tanglewood is kind of everybody's kind of favorite in the beginning because it's a very small map. It's very user-friendly, so I highly recommend that. Once you come over here to the difficulty settings, you can cycle through your different difficulty settings. If you are looking at this for the very first time, you're probably on amateur. That's totally fine. You can, you can get up to the much harder levels all the way up to insanity. You can go into the challenge modes. You can even do your own custom stuff. That way, if you want to find out different things, you can have a lot of fun with it. But we're going to hit apply on there. And then we're also going to assume that you have no money because you just installed the game. Right? You just started off here. So these are the starter items that you have. So we're going to load into a map. I'm going to show you guys what you're looking for. I'm going to show you how you rule out evidence, how you use what you have here is available to you, and then kind of what some upgrades that I would go for first when you were looking at for the game. But yeah, let's jump into this. So not a whole lot of stuff that you've got here. You got over the radio. They'll tell you a little bit of stuff. You do have a computer at your disposal, which you'll be able to use with the video camera. But now we can take a look here at the ghost type. We can see who it responds to. Now, on the earlier modes, it'll tell you whether or not it responds to people in a group or if it responds to people alone. General rule of thumb is if you're trying to get a spirit box interaction from the ghost, just be alone in the room, in a dark room with it. You'll get the video response. And then you can also see secondary objectives. So in this case, we have the EMF reader, average standing below 25, and repel it while it's chasing somebody. So we cannot get the repel the ghost because we don't have any smudge sticks. Now this, when you have a full setup, this whole corkboard back here is going to be completely full. We're going to hit the little keypad to open the door and grab the key so that way we can get into the house. We're going to grab a flashlight. I like to bring in a camera and an EMF reader for several reasons. And then also, if you wanted to look at like daily tasks that you can also complete with the ghost, right? You can also get these daily tasks here and the weekly tasks. If you want to, you can just pick those up so that way you can see them. We also have, well, before I leave here, we also have these 4 different monitors. Now, as you get into nightmare mode and beyond, the bottom 2 screens are going to be broken. You won't be able to see those, but one is your team sanity. The other one is total activity. Team sanity is where you are sitting at for basically how aggressive that the ghost is going to be. The closer that you approach to 0, the more that the ghost is going to be aggressive. The average ghost, I say average because there are a few exceptions to the rule, average ghost is going to hunt you at 50% sanity or less. So as long as you stay north of 50%, for the most part, you are going to be fine. There are a few exceptions to that. If you notice that the ghost is hunting you and you're well above 50% sanity, you can pretty much rule it out. It's probably either a demon or a Thay. Now here's the overall map. Now the map is great here because you can cycle through it to see what you can see useful information, right? You can put in sound sensors in here. You can put in motion sensors. Those will be displayed on this map. Not only that, but if you notice here down in the basement, you'll see this little green box. That is for the breaker. So we already know that the breaker is in the basement, and we can also see each room as well. Now, if you're playing with multiple teammates, you'll actually see the multiple teammates to see which room that they're happen to be in. Sound sensors over here is, if we had sound sensors, this would tell you if it was picking up any kind of sound within its radius. Total activity board is what the ghost is doing, and you can learn to read that in different ways. But let's head inside. Now, if you're playing on amateur mode, the lights and the power are already going to be on. So that's going to be great. You don't have to worry about it. I like to go in. I like to grab the keys out of the key dish just in case the ghost is in the garage and it decides to turn on the set the car alarm off, because that can be annoying to try to find stuff. And now what you'll notice that I'm doing here is I'm going around. I'm looking for the bone. There will be a bone somewhere on every single map. So you need to take, find the bone, take a picture of the bone, because you get additional money for the bone and for the photo itself. If you hit J, you'll open up your journal so you can see your photos here, and you can also see your secondary objectives. Now, I heard something over here behind me. Right? It sounded like a glass. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see what we have here. Now, somewhere over here, it threw, I bet you it's inside here. Yep. It threw that glass. So now if we come over here, we can see we got an interaction photo for it. So now we not only got one piece of evidence with the EMF reader, but we kind of know where the ghost is. Right? We got super lucky. Let's say, for instance, that you didn't know where the ghost was at. I get into the habit of shutting the doors behind you. Right? When you go in and you explore a room, get in the habit of shutting the doors. That way, if you're down here, say we're all the way over here and we're trying to turn on the power, right? So we turn on the power, we come back up, we hear a door opened, but we don't know where, right? So now we can come back here and we can go, oh man, there was a door, I heard a door open. I don't see any doors open. Let's go in here, let's check. Oh, we have a door that's open right here. So the ghost touched this door, right? We know that. If all the doors were open, you'd have no idea. Or I was really hoping for a ghost photo there. The ghost can show up on you like that. And we do have the cursed object. Yep. So, there are cursed objects, right? There are 7 cursed objects total. The haunted mirror here is one of them, right? And they will spawn in the same spot on every map. So, for example, for that haunted mirror, it will spawn on that same spot on Tanglewood every single time if you get a haunted mirror. The cursed objects do different things for you depending on what the object is. They come at a cost, right? A lot of times they will cost you sanity, right? You'll have a sanity drain. So like you can see here, because we had the ghost event and because we spent time inside the house, our sanity is now at 73%. We're halfway down the threshold for it to basically to be able to start hunting up. Now, this is the total activity meter I was talking about, right? We're tracking for the ghost, how active the ghost is. So what we're looking at here is the ghost is actually moving stuff. Anytime, if you see an EMF 2, that means that the ghost has touched something, right? It is tapped on a window. It has opened up a door. EMF 3 means the ghost has thrown something. EMF 4 means a ghost event. And EMF 5 is EMF 5, and that's a piece of evidence that we can use to help us to determine the ghost. So now, if you're wanting to read that, you see this jump here that we had between 2 to 6 all of a sudden? So what that means is that's a jump of 4, right? And I just said that was a ghost event. Here's the thing. You can't have ghost events if nobody's inside the house. So us being solo outside the house, if you're seeing an EMF 4 on the board and nobody's inside the house or nobody's reported a ghost event, it's likely it's an EMF 5, right? It's a little bit weird to explain, but if you imagine you turned on the EMF, it has 5 lights to it, right? And 1 light is already on. So if you see that jump of 4 or 5, a lot of times that can mean that we have an EMF 5. So now at this point, we know where the ghost room is. We know it's in that front bedroom. I'm going to grab additional stuff. The video camera can also do night vision mode, which I do recommend. So we'll bring this in. Now we're also checking here. We're checking for orbs. You can hold down the F key and that will allow you to place it. And then you can use your mouse to swivel this. So that way you can place it down wherever that you want to. We're going to set down the dots here. We're going to set down the dots. And then I'm also going to set down Ghost Writing Book as well. And then we're going to leave out. Now you can use, like I said, the video camera. This is inside the boys' room. Now I can still cycle back and forth by clicking on the left-clicking on the keyboard, and that allows me to see whether or not, like in night mode or not. Can you always survive the hunt and how close before the ghost sees you? The ghost can see you from forever. So yeah, the ghost could be a mile away, and if it has a clear line of sight, it'll see you. It'll start moving towards you, and it'll pick up speed. The longer the ghost has a line of sight on you, the faster it will become. That's across the board. Doesn't matter what ghost it is. They will get faster, right? And some ghosts you can determine based off of the hunt speed. Like how it hunts you, right? Is a thing. Yeah, if you have electronics on you during the hunt as well, it definitely will find you. Hello there, howitzer chick. So see here, we have another piece of evidence, right? We have fingerprints, right? So now again, if you hit J for your journal, you can put in this stuff to see what you have remaining. Now, a great rule of thumb here is that on amateur, intermediate, and professional mode, you can also rule out evidence, which is a very useful thing. We can rule out what we have and what we don't have. So I often tell people, especially because in the van, how do you tell freezing temperatures? Well, you can either use a thermometer, which is what a lot of people like to do, or what I like to do is just see whether or not that we have, if we see our breath. In this case, we haven't seen our breath yet, so we probably aren't going to get freezing temps. So we've got a Myling, an Obake, and a Goryo. Those are the 3 ghosts that we've got left, right? And we also have to still get our average sanity down. I mean, like I said, we cannot repel this because we don't have any smudge sticks. But now we're going to take a look here to see what we got. I'm going to take in the ghost or the spirit box here. So we right click to turn the spirit box on and off. Okay. See in the keyboard, we got 4 fingers here. We got more fingers there. Right. I'll take that photo. We got another one there. Okay, perfect. All right. Spirit box, we right click and now you hit V to talk. Now here's the thing. You're going to notice 3 things on this, and this is very important. So one is when you hit V, you'll notice that the microphone turns on. Then you also have X, and you also have the little ghost symbol here. Okay? So now what you want to do is when you ask a question, you want to see this X. That means that the game recognized that you spoke, and that there was nothing, the ghost didn't respond. If you don't see this X, that means that the game itself is not recognizing that you're talking. Where are you? How old are you? Are you friendly? Are you here? Where are you? See? Didn't get anything, and this ghost has been sitting here right beside us. It's been touching this the entire time. So we can rule out spirit box, right? Which doesn't affect for the ghosts here. Right? We have ghost writing, ghost orbs, and ghost dots. Now ghost writing is still this one here. Woo! Nice little event. Time to move. We definitely fell down. That ghost event pushes down into the threshold to be hunted. Now for the ghost hunt, right? And if you were a new player, you probably would have died there in that scenario. I'm not giving it a hug. I am not. But as a new player, right, you probably would have died because you wouldn't have known what to listen for, and that's kind of unfortunate. We were able to survive because I kind of know what to listen for. The big thing is that the front door here shut. Right, that's kind of the big takeaway here, and I need to move this. So we're gonna reposition this. I'm gonna do right like that. That kind of gets us down here. We're in the hunt threshold, right? Because we're at 36%. We don't have any sanity pills. Sanity pills would help you to bring your sanity back up. It's a very valuable item. I would recommend that that's the first thing that you buy if you get extra money, right, to be able to buy stuff. So we still need to get our average sanity down to 25, which we're well on the way to do. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check again. I have a feeling that it's a Goryo. I feel like freezing temps show up later on in the investigation. Sometimes they can, right? Depending upon it. It depends upon a couple of factors. One, if it's snowing outside, then you can get freezing temps faster that way because the area is already cold. And then 2, if you have the power on, it warms up it'll randomly warm up all of the other rooms in the house. So then eventually it'll get warm enough to where, hey, okay, now that room that the ghost is in, it has freezing temps, so therefore you'll be able to tell freezing faster. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for dots, which kind of surprised we haven't seen dots at all yet. There it is. That's dot. So that right there is the ghost. It's the silhouette of the ghost running through the field. That's what you're looking for. So in this sense, right, for our pieces of evidence that we've got dots. Or I'm sorry, not ghost orbs. We've got dots, EMF 5, and fingerprints. So we know that the ghost is a Goryo. If you are looking for different stuff, right, you can click on the different ghost types, and it can kind of give you some tidbits about it, right? One of the things here, right, for a Goryo, when a Goryo passes through the dots projector, using a video camera is the only way to see it, which means that we cannot see dots, the evidence, for a Goryo in person, right? The only way you can see it is through a camera from a distance, right? So you'd have to be outside the room holding the camera, or you could be in the van looking at it, and then you will see that, right? So then it will usually only show itself on camera if there's no other people nearby, and they are rarely seen far from their places of death, which means it's not going to wander a whole lot from wherever it's at. But then it also gives you the 3 pieces of evidence that you need here. And then, so this would be good for later on when you're trying to get better and go into nightmare mode and it starts hiding evidence from you and like what it could be. Gorios are kind of your average run-of-the-mill ghost in the sense of for like hunting speed and stuff. I am going to go down here. We're going to get the average sanity to 25. And then I'm also going to kind of show you just some normal hiding spots that you can utilize to help you to try to survive as the ghost turns off the power on me. Which makes sense. So your biggest friend here is to find a place that makes the ghost hard to be able to see you. Right? So like down here in this basement, there's not a lot of great stuff. Normally there can be, but in this sense there's not. Oh, really? You're going to turn off the power on me again. Okay, cool. Sometimes the ghost can be a little bit annoying as well. Now the ghost is hunting. So I want to make sure that my flashlight, any electronic equipment you have on you is off. You keep the flashlight on. If you keep any kind of electronic equipment on, the ghost will find you. Like the ghost has no idea where I'm at right now. If I do this, you'll notice my flashlight starts flickering, and the ghost will make a beeline right for us. Right? So now the ghost is coming in here. So now I gotta loop it around this van in the dark. Okay, there we go. Lockers, great place to be able to hide, right? You could hide inside these lockers. You just shut the door, and you're good to go. So those are good. The ghost can open up doors, so be mindful of that it can do that. Also, closets are also a great place to hide. You'll notice that some closets are open. Like on amateur mode, pretty much all the closets are going to be open for you. But as you get into harder modes, you'll start noticing that they're going to be filled up. So finding more creative places to be able to hide is good. Most rooms will have a place. What I don't recommend... Oh, man, he really loves to do these ghost events. What I don't recommend is... Really? Keeps cutting off the power on me. I don't recommend is hiding inside of just like the closet back over here. Right? Like inside that closet, because if the ghost opens up the door, you have nowhere to hide, and then you're kind of screwed. Now, as you get more proficient in your ghost hunting, right, you'll find more creative ways to hide, but that's kind of the general like basic guideline. You want me to go in the closet? No, that's not what I'm saying. Right? So we can run over here. We run. We jump in the closet. We turn off our flashlight, and then we wait. Like I said, he can't come over here. Be ready to pull the door shut if he opens it. You don't want to hide behind doors. You don't want to just shut the door and then hide behind it thinking that you're safe in the room because you shut the door. Because the ghost will hear the door shut and he will come in there. Right? Like he'd heard the door shut in the garage. So that's why he came in there. Oh, here's another thing, right? So you notice that the front door is open. Now, if it did a ghost event like this, see, the front door is open, so I don't have to worry because I know that, hey, the front door is still open and that's totally fine. The other thing that you want to listen for, and this is very important and this will help to keep you alive, when the ghost does hunt, however it decides to hunt, like that, you notice the sound that the ghost is making? Try to trick me? You hear that? Right? That sound for the ghost. Some ghosts can be laughing at you. Some ghosts will be crying at you. Some ghosts it'll sound like they're mumbling at you. A bunch of different ways. But here's the big thing that you need to take up from that is that ghost will hunt you that same way every single time. So if he's doing that little voice, Jesus. Okay. A lot of extra noise there. Oh my God. This ghost really is trolling me. Okay, stop touching the stuff. Thank you. So the ghost will hunt you that exact same way. The big thing that you need to be listening for is, especially after the ghost hunt, is that front door will shut and you'll hear the door lock. Right like that. See that? Front door shut and it locked. So we make our way back over here again. And we hide away. I didn't need to kill you in the garage. So I've played this game enough, after like 1,700 hours of gameplay, I have a pretty good understanding of where the ghost is. So I can literally just run it around the car until he gets done hunting. Sometimes I do screw up. I'm fairly fairly proficient about doing that. Or you could loop it a couple of times around, like you could loop it around the table here, around the countertop here. There's a bunch of creative places that you can use, and you have to kind of use those more creative places as you move up in difficulty. But for a newbie, for a brand new beginner, you don't have to worry about that. Just find yourself a closet, find yourself a locker, find those early on so that way you know where to run to. Is it important to crouch when you run from the ghost? No, it's not. That's just my general way of doing it. A lot of people comment that I crouch a lot. I don't know if that's for like everybody else, but like I do that because a lot of times I end up running around in the dark, and it's much easier for me to be able to see where I'm going in the dark. So all in all, right, if you complete a secondary objective, you'll see it checked off. You can also check that off in the overview, right, as well. You can also get the ghost's name. Now, this one, right, Keith Gayton, if the ghost is a male ghost, you'll have a male ghost model, and it will not be a crawler. So if you really don't like the crawler ghosts, then just stay away from female names. That's pretty much... Right, and then they will also not be children ghosts either. We've gone through and we've gotten everything else that we needed to. We found the bone, right? We got the bone photo. We've taken a picture of the haunted mirror. We got a nice interaction photos. We got a ghost photo. You ultimately, you want to try to get the best photos that you can, and you want to fill out your book as much as you possibly can, but do it safely. If it's at the point to where like the ghost is definitely going to hunt you because you have no more sanity left and you don't feel comfortable with it, just leave. Right? Making $100 is way better than losing, than either getting nothing or, by losing your gear. So if at the end of the day, if it's just not possible, it's just not possible. So then when you're done, when you're ready to go, you hit the same keypad, it'll load up. Make sure you have your ghost selected. You had everything else here, and then you can see after the fact. Now, whatever gear you brought in, you don't have to worry about taking it out. But if you die, regardless of the gear you brought in, whatever was in the van or whatever's in the house will be lost. You will lose all of that. So as you can see here, right, we got a nice $195. You can check out things like how aggressive the ghost is in the game summary, how much time you did for a total investigation, how many interactions, events, and hunts that you had. You can also check out like what was my sanity. You can see things like how far did the ghost travel, and if you come down all the way down here at the bottom, it'll also tell you where the bone was. So if you didn't find the bone, you'd be like, oh, it was in the boy's bedroom, but we found it, right? We knew that it was in there. Summarized for everything else, right, at this point in time, you have a little bit of cash, you got a little bit of walking around money, and you're trying to determine what you want to get here, right? I would, you come over here to the shops and storage icon. This will allow you to come in and be able to buy stuff. Right now, it's telling you here on how many of that item you can have in the van. So how many you have in the van and how many you can have. For example, on my normal loadout, I have 2 tripods that I bring with me, but I can have a maximum of 5. Same thing for salt. I bring in 3, and we can have 3. Sanity pills, I can have 4, and I can bring in 4. Now, if you wanted to buy something, right, you just click on to buy, however many that you want to buy. It'll show you over there on this side on how many that you can buy. And then you just click the buy. And then when you go over to your loadouts, you'll notice that now I have 15 sanity pills, and I can bring in 4. So once you've bought your stuff, you go to the loadout here, and then you just go down the line and you say, hey, okay, I don't have any thermometers, right? So I need to buy some thermometers. So I'm going to buy. Now, we want to make sure we don't buy 11 sanity pills at the same time. So I'm going to minus out of the sanity pills. Right, and then I'm gonna buy the thermometers. So we're gonna buy them. We're gonna come over here to the loadout. You'll notice I've got 6 now, and we're going to add in 2 thermometers to the loadout. I'm gonna click add, and now when we come over here to this side, we'll notice that we've got 2 out of the 3 thermometers, and so then you can fill up your entire equipment list. Now, the more equipment that you have, the more expensive that is going to be. If you die, if you find yourself dying quite frequently, you're going to be losing out on a lot of money. So in the beginning, when you're starting off with stuff, I highly recommend just take this over here, hit remove from everything, just so that way you have just your starter items. This is free. This will always be free. And then you can add in your stuff at that point in time so that way you have a full loadout, right? The harder the difficulty you do, the more of the multiplier that you get, the more money that you get, but it is more difficult. It is, the ghost becomes more aggressive. It is harder to find hiding places, that kind of thing. So play at the level, play at what you're comfortable with, and then you just move up over time. This video is like, I just installed Phasmophobia today and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. How do I play the game? You gotta watch the video. It's all there. Tell them about the candles. Oh, great thing about the candles. Okay. We'll load into a quick match here. We'll go back to Tanglewood. I'm just going to bring my full amount here, but I'll show you this for the candles, right? Candles are very useful. Lighters, smudge sticks, sanity pills. Those are all cheap and they're very useful, right? So if you're looking for extra gear to buy, these 4 things should be like pretty much priority number 1 for you to buy, because what you get for them, sanity pills are gonna make your sanity go back up, right? We'll bring in a candle. Let's see if we can find the cursed object here. Right, sounds like it was in the kitchen. See, it threw an object right out of the gate, so we were easily able to see that, or easily able to hear that. Right, so then you just kind of move around here, and you would see like where is it at? Maybe it could have been in the garage too. Turn on the power. Let's see. No voodoo doll. I don't know why I brought in a candle right now, but Ouija board? No Ouija board. Please don't be tarot cards. Oh, we got mirror again. Perfect. Now, stuff like the cursed mirror here, because we got it last round, I'm glad that we got it again here. But this will show you exactly where it's at. See, it's in the kitchen. But now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, right? Every time we used it, and we just looked at it for a brief second, and we had a ghost event here. Now, let's take a look at our sanity. We're already at 72% sanity, because every time you look at it, it drains your sanity very, very quickly. That's why I'm saying, for a new player, I would just kind of steer clear of identify them, get to know where the cursed objects are. Don't bother using them until you get comfortable with, like, getting into a hunt. At this point, right, we're at 69. Nice. 69% sanity, right? It's going to fluctuate between 68 and 69. So now what we can do is, this is the benefit, this is the beauty of having a candle in your hand, right? So if you're finding yourself your sanity is draining too much, right, and you're having an issue with that, you can hang out over here with a candle, just away from the ghost. You could be walking around completely in the darkness. As long as there's not an event, you will not lose a passive sanity drain. So what I mean by that is that I could sit in here for like an hour with a lit candle in my hand and leave, and I would still be sitting at the same 68, 69% sanity as when I left. So it's a great way to keep your sanity. If you're finding a hard time maintaining your sanity, see, we come back over here, we're still at 69. Nice percent. So that's a great it's a really great tip. And then the last thing too, so the smudge sticks, right, without getting into too much of like everything, the smudge sticks here are great for a new player. Smudge sticks and lighters for 2 purposes. One is that in the ghost room you can smudge the ghost, right? We could smudge it right now and it would lock it in this room. Well, not lock it in the room, but it would prevent it from hunting for at least a minute and a half. The other thing that you can do is that this also helps you to avoid the ghost, right? And I'll show you what I mean here, right? We got a nice little closet here. Perfect, right? Now I'm going to use the mirror and I'm going to break the mirror, which means I'm going to force this ghost into a hunt, right? So when that happens, this ghost is going to be very upset. He's going to be charging at us. We are going to do a technique called smudging through the ghost that allows you, it will give you 6 seconds of invulnerability, and it blinds the ghost to where you're at, right? So we're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep looking. You can tell that it's in the kitchen, right? And we broke it. Now you can hear her, right? Now she's crying. She will always cry when she hunts you, right? Here we go. She's coming around. Hi. We smudge. Then we can shut the door. So just like that. If we didn't have that, we would have died right there. But we had the smudge. We were able to use the smudge. Now, you could use it going the opposite direction, right? Like, let's say that the ghost is chasing you. You could smudge it and move away from the ghost if you wanted to get some extra distance. So it gives you that opportunity to say, like, hey, okay, I know where I need to go. We're going to smudge through the ghost. I'm going to run right into it, and we're going to hide. What if it's a Deogen? Then don't hide. Deogens are a ghost that will find you. They're the only exception. They're the exception to the rule. You don't want to hide against the Deogen. Deogen will find you. He will always know where you are at, right? But in this case, this is not a Deogen. But for a Deogen, you could easily just run it around like one of these tables or the island here, and it'll never catch you. You could pretty much just outwalk it, and you'd be fine. So here's another great thing. See our sanity, we're at 0. This is the beauty of the sanity pills. So if we didn't have sanity pills, we'd be constantly hunting like it was last round. But we have the sanity pills. So now we can take all the sanity pills, and now we're back up to 100% sanity, which means that now we're well out of the threshold for the guns to be able to hunt us, and we're fine. You can also use the sanity pills to just keep you north of 50%, and you could just keep doing that. Though the reason why we drop that sanity that fast is because we use the mirror, because the cursed objects, they come at a cost. Some ghosts can hunt early. Some ghosts can, but the vast majority are going to hunt you at 50%. So I think all in all, I think that pretty much that covers over everything else. Crucifixes help you to prevent hunts. You can place those down the same way that you place down the cameras, right? So you can see kind of the radius. You notice there that little radius that's around it? So it's very good for placing it down for knowing where it's at. If the ghost decides to hunt inside of that radius, it will eat part of the crucifix. I've barely seen others use the mic. Which mic? The parabolic mic or the sound sensors? Right? I'll show both of them. So now we know that the ghost is still in the... we still know that the ghost is inside the kitchen here. So now parabolic mics are great for helping us to find the ghost room and to pick up that parabolic. So if we didn't know where it was at, we'd scroll, you know, like move around here. We're getting a 0.9. See how that's steady? That means that more than likely this ghost is now moved. Either it's picking up and it's in the basement or it's in the living room here. So that the ghost was just trolling me. Yeah, we're getting a 0.9 right here. So parabolic mics, you can pick up parabolic noises. You can hear whispering. You can hear a banshee's wail. That's one way of identifying the banshee. Right? It'll pick up other interactions that the ghost does, like moving the chair here. If we didn't know where the ghost room was, right, and we were just moving this around here, we get zeros, right? 0, 0, 0. We pointed down here towards the basement, right, where we know where we got activity before. Do sound sensors have any actual use? Yes. So now we know that the ghost is down here, right? So let's put it down here. Sound sensors are great for determining stuff like shades, right? Because shades are more active when you're not nearby. So what's one way of being able to track it? Now you'll notice that because we placed down the sound sensor in here, now we have a basement thing. We take a look at the map, right? You'll see the dot that represents it, and then you'll notice that it covers over the entire area. So therefore, you know, it means it's covering over the entire thing. I'm going to bring in another one just so that way we can show you the two. Place one down here in the kitchen. And we'll have it out. Never used a sound sensor. This is interesting. Yeah, like they do have their uses to them. Like they're kind of situational. But see, we got activity down in the basement. It moved something, it touched something, it did something down in the basement. So therefore, it popped off. You can get a better representation of the radius of these up, you know, like up top, right? So you can see where it's at. Right? It's still down there in the basement. It moved something else, right? It did something, moved something, did something, and that's how you can pick it up. I mean, motion sensors are kind of the same way, right? We'll take in motion sensor. Motion sensors are great for being able to track the ghost. So how you use them to be effective to see whether or not like it's leaving out of the basement, you can put them down in like in doorways. So that way, if the ghost crosses across, if he goes through the doorway, you now know that, hey, okay, it went that way. So now I can tell if the ghost is down here in the basement and the ghost moves up into, let's say, the kitchen or vice versa. Because those two will go off, I can now tell the direction of the ghost. I can tell which way that it moved. And then we'll also put one down in the basement. So that way we know, right? And we can put this one down here down at the bottom of the stairs. Why am I always crawling? I get that question a lot. Here's why, right? So let's say that you're in the dark. Can you tell me where you're at right now, right? If I'm moving around, you know, you can kind of get an idea of where you're at, but not really, right? Let's turn off these lights, right? So it's just total darkness. Can you tell where you're at? Right? Kind of, a little bit. But if I crouch, I can tell like, oh, okay, these are the kitchen, this is the kitchen island, right? Oh, I'm moving around the kitchen island. I can see this. Oh, okay, I've gone too far. I'm now in the dining room. See, up top here, unless I'm looking straight down, which I wouldn't recommend looking straight down, but I can't really tell where I'm walking. So I've just gotten used to crouching a lot whenever that I'm doing these because it's helpful for me to be able to see where I'm going in the dark. You're a kitchen island. So that's why I do it. You don't have to by any means. The other reason why I put these low on the ground is because if it's a child ghost, if you put these up top where you would put them at like eye level, right, it would still work. But if it's a child ghost model and they're moving, does it still work now? That might actually be good. Does that work? You used to have to put them down low so that way if it was a child ghost model, it wouldn't set it off. But it looks like it still sets it off now. So actually, I'm mistaken on that one. I always got into the habit of putting them down low. So that way, yeah, if you had like a crawler or something like that, but it looks like now the radius is larger on those. It used to be they would slide up underneath them and you wouldn't be able to tell. But if the ghost is moving in that area, right, you can tell on the motion sensor, and I'll show you what it looks like on the map out here too. So now you notice these little orange lines on the map, those are your motion sensors. If the ghost walks over them, you'll hear a beep sound, and you'll also see the line turn green. So that's where you'll be able to tell, like, oh, okay, he was there. He went over that way. Thermometer can be used the same way, even if you don't have freezing temps. It can still be used to find the ghost room, right? You just kind of point it into the room, and you're just seeing if there's a fluctuation in temperature, right? So see how we have like 8 degrees Celsius up here, and then we point it up here, right? We have 18. So it's a huge difference. And you can go into your options if you want to. Options, I think it's in controls, game, somewhere. You can set this over to Fahrenheit, aka the best temperature reading. And then you can use it from there. But see, when we notice, you see how that light lit up? That means that he was at least, he stepped onto the lower stairwell here. If he comes up here, we can tell where it's moving, but that's how you can tell where the ghost room is too with a thermometer if you wanted to use it. Like I said, I don't really use the thermometer all that much. How do you change it? You click on J, or you click escape. Sorry, you go to your options, you go to your game, scroll down to degrees, right? And you can change it between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So that's how. Another great thing to do is increase, right? When the game starts you off, it starts you off here like this. And the last like little tips. Right, you get cursor brightness at 100% and your field of view is at 70. There we go. So this is what it looks like. Right, this is 70% and a cursor brightness of 100. See that little dot in the middle of the screen? It's very hard to see. That's if you're trying to pick up equipment, you got to get the dot over the object in order to be able to see it. So go to options, go to game, field of view, crank it up to 90, cursor brightness, crank it up to 500. So now, 1, you can see so much more, and then 2, look how much brighter that dot is now. So it's definitely going to help you out. So how do you know that it's freezing in Fahrenheit? It's below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Or if it's on Celsius, it's 0 degrees Celsius. Or if you don't even have a thermometer, you just wait for freezing. You just wait to see your breath. There is not an option to use Kelvin units. But yeah, guys, listen, if you found this video informative, if you'd like for me to go more in depth on maybe like the cursed objects or in the equipment or something like that, please let me know down in the comment section below. I do hope that you guys found this very informative. So hopefully if you had no knowledge at the beginning of this, hopefully now this made you a lot more confident. Please let me know if it helped you out as well. But guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys next time.